Winternomics.eth. Your stream will begin shortly. Loading in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready to just welcome. Welcome to Winternomics.eth. Your stream will begin shortly. Loading in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready to just Winternomics. Welcome. Welcome to Winternomics.eth. Your stream will begin shortly. Loading in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready to just Winternomics. Welcome. Winternomics. Welcome to Winternomics.eth. Your stream will begin shortly. Loading in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready to just Winternomics. Welcome. Winter, 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 Winternomics. Winter, 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 winter. Welcome. Winter, 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 Winternomics. Welcome to Winternomics.eth. Your stream will begin shortly. Loading in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready to just Winternomics. Welcome. Winter, 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 Winternomics. Winter, 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 winter. Welcome. Winter, 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 Winternomics. Welcome to Winternomics.eth. Your stream will begin shortly. Loading in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready to just Winternomics. Welcome. Winter, 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 Winternomics. Winter, 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 winter. Welcome. Winter, 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 Winternomics. Welcome to Winternomics TV. Your stream will begin shortly. Loading in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready, bitches. Winternomics. Welcome. Winter, 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 Winternomics. Winter, winter, winter. Welcome. Winter, winter, Winternomics. Welcome to Winternomics TV. Your stream will begin shortly. Loading in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready, bitches. Winternomics. Welcome. Winter, 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 Winternomics. Winter, winter, winter. Welcome. Winter, 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 Winternomics.
What up, what up? Mic check, mic check. Let me know that my audio is good. Y'all hear this right? I think my audio looks low. Let's see. Microphone looks low. All right, mic check again. That should be different. Test, test, test. What it do, what it is. Are y'all ready for my 2 cents? Come on, tell me that pun wasn't appropriate for what's going on right now in the British pound. So we gave you guys a DXY sheet as our first OF integration Discord sheet. I have to say that guy was pretty well timed, don't you think? So in DXY King equals bloodbath globally in everything, currencies alike, not just risk assets like everybody else's currency. In a world where the U.S. has a hegemony, on economic systems through dollar, leverage, the world is basically counter the the USD. So it's an interesting thing that people are coming to realize that this DXY monster is literally the destroyer of worlds. And if you guys remember, that was what the blog post in 2014 was about, right? Understanding that that was a real fucking serious thing. If you ever saw a DXY bull market, it's not a good thing. So hopefully a lot of you were able to participate in that wave. That post is, where did I put it? I always do this. DXY, that was this guy. Wait, that's not him. This is just the one fucking Leon on it constantly. So yeah, good old Leon. But no, DXY. This is DXY. right? So we gave it to you guys in this little blue box, and just you had a bull flag rotation back through the previous high, 20-year high, and then that guy got gas. That's the 20th. We gave you that sheet on. Well, the Discord is closed. One sec, I'll get it. Yes, Ivy. All right, we gave you this guy September 20th, and we told you to pay attention to this dude. As we discussed, we'll be adding currencies to our focus, because this is a key point. That was our blue box there. This is our DXY. God, I keep doing that. This is our DXY on the 20th, and now 10 o'clock, a couple hours I posted that guy, kaboom. And that guy was the fucking, destruction of this dude who's making news everywhere. And it's pretty funny to watch them blame the new Prime Minister trusts his budget on this, right? When clearly something has been fucking wrong with this fucking country's money systemically for quite some time, right? This is the top of the pound. And this is in 07, before the housing bubble even really showed itself, right? This churned around, and then in the housing bubble got obliterated. If you look at the range from where the pound is coming from, right, he's been in decline for quite some time, right? This isn't just fucking trust causing this situation. But we are at an interesting spot with him, a 35-year low right now. He managed to spike that out. And you guys know how 2Bs work. So this is a major inflection point now for USD. Let's put this as something, what the fuck ever. We'll just use that. So right now we look at it, it's about there. Pretty sure, let me check. What is this? 0520. Yeah, it's 0520, okay. So that's him right now, and that's a 35-year low potential to be if he doesn't go back under and sustain it. So at least the first thing we know is this guy's come down here, slammed into it, and what did I put on 1 minute? I didn't mean that. Well, that's how he interacted, right? He slammed it. That's a hell of a stop run, right? Looks like any other 2B, and now we continue to bounce. So this guy is our breather in the DXY that if he doesn't stop, right, risk assets are gonna have hell. But being at the 35-year low, that's a kind of contact that gives you a meaningful chance for something to take its time, spikes through key levels like this. If we get any kind of meaningful stall in the DXY now off of that, right, that's going to give the breather that the market needs to bounce from here, crypto included. So there are a couple of things at places that are really good inflection points to look at this with what's happening right now with the pound this morning. So we'll look at that when we get back to macro stuff. So how many people in here were able to use the DXY Intel on OnlyFans, make a plan, and do anything with currencies, whether it is even just hedge yourself out if you have exposure living overseas, for us overseas, if you're in Europe and stuff and had exposure to your home currency getting obliterated, how many of you are able to make a plan around that? Because that's something most people don't think about. It's that, you live inside a currency that's debasing and you don't really think of what's really happening relatively to other currencies. And so forgetting that, if you're a Euro-based person or, in a country like Turkey, right, getting away from the currency exposure is a huge piece of preserving your actual wealth. And a lot of people don't take really steps to do that in countries that are getting hammered, in the currency market like that. M-Mon says, hedge, thanks for the sheet. That was fire as fuck. Awesome. Like to hear that. Earning in dollars while living in Europe. So was auto hedged. Okay. That's pretty clever. I like that. Joe Malovo, Ivy and mouse control. Nobody in the show is prepared to even understand that. So see, coming into the show this morning, right, I would say definitely Skeleton Crew vibes. Definitely some hate because we created the Discord and private Discord upgrade to the YouTube. So we got a few people who are giving us the finger for having done that. But those folks don't understand value anyway. So we started well under 100 and we're just barely at 107 right now. So I guess it's gonna be the people that pay the most attention to survive the bear, But at the end of the day, we deliver value for everything we put forward in every platform. We don't give a shit if you're a freemium piece of shit. You can suck it and fuck off. Nobody cares. I'm tired of catering to fucking losers. I left the platform open for 4 years for people to have a chance to do shit and people that did shit. So that experiment's past this time. The exploit, hedge my euro balance using the Intel. Awesome. Trading account is USD. And like I said, we're trying to take this to a level that, the average person that like has a casual interest in markets doesn't do. I'm not really here to like service mom and pop. I'm here to service people that want to be career fucking traders. This is market TV for people that actually want the kind of intel that gives you a real fucking chance. And fucking capital markets is a retail trader that has pretty much everything stacked against you, shit you know and shit you don't know in the game. So that's where we're going. Hedged in USD, 4Ps, hedge my account. So many hedgers. I like seeing it. So awesome. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Tell your friends there's real market TV out there. Get the word out. Help support the show. We'll keep it popping, keep the intel fresh. So let's see if you guys give me any scorecards, because a lot of motherfuckers won in here. So let's see if you guys wrote me anything about it. I got one. So economic info, let's check this. Jay Powell is constantly the guy on watch. BOJ, ECB, Jay Powell, Tuesday, Wednesday. Several FOMC members speak. Euro CPI for inflation, PCE numbers all lined up this week. So as crazy as last week was, it looks like we've got a decent amount of catalysts, right? So worth being aware of. Not quite as insane as last week, but we'll give a shit about this. Final revisions on GDP. Maybe not the greatest market mover. Canadian GDP. Core PCE, which has to do with inflation reads. And Powell speaking is probably the biggest danger, because he's the thing that happened on Friday, and the market did a reversal on Friday off of that. So you never know what comes out of him speaking. Consumer confidence also be worth noting, given it gets historic lows. And Lagarde speaking also. So the ECB speaking, while there's a currency crisis in Europe, and the Fed chair speaking, they'll likely speak something about this. And it's worth noting, right? And then I guess you have your Italian elections. Well, I think that finished. You guys got your first conservative government since Mussolini, I believe. So that might be just a sign of the times, right? You go nationalistic when in times of crisis, like the U.S. started to go that way also in economically tough times. So that's a sign of some of things to come in Europe. So that's our week of numbers. Let's see what else we got. No earnings we give a shit about. Beta Poker's first war story. Let's see what you got, sir. What is this? ETH. Same thing. All right. Hey everyone, I've been following Kaz and Eco for years, indeed, and have learned more about life here than school and university. Have been in the space of trading since October 2017, where I experienced my first crypto cycle. Fun, indeed. My biggest weakness by far in trading is my emotions, which is why my goal this month was to make a plan and stick to it. I can't even count the amount of trades I had planned days, weeks, even months ahead, only to cancel them last minute because of fear. Then watch as my trade played out perfectly. To achieve my goal, it almost meant that I had to increase duration of my trades, which is something I have struggled with in the past. This included placing a trade entry for a while I was sleeping, or being in a trade that ran overnight while I was sleeping. These two tasks have always been major fears of mine, so to overcome these properly for the first time was a big step forward for me. But I did it, and literally the next two trades were 100 times easier. These are the three trades I took. So this is a buy you've got on here, catching this pump. This is another long that you've got on here. I see three trades. I see 1, 2, maybe there's something somewhere else. My goal for next month is to start trading journal. It's to start a trading journal. This should be right now. That shouldn't come next month. This should go hand in hand with notating what you got right about this. So you don't want to have a bunch of good stuff here and not really keep a journal of how you came to these conclusions, because before the end of the month you might have some mistakes and you want to weigh out how you got these versus how you didn't. So I would have that journal like right now. As I mentioned, as I see that as mentioned a lot, an excellent trading tool in order to reflect and better yourself, and also recognize what does and doesn't work for you. Right, it's basically a record of your business, and you have to kind of reflect on it to adjust your business. Think of it that way. So it's like a necessity for business. Thank you, Cash, for being you and for creating this amazing eco. Appreciate the priceless information you continue to share day in and day out. For sure. That's a good scorecard. And like I said, this is good. I'm glad to see you actually managed to like overcome your fear of holding overnight. And if you're stuck to like super low resolutions where you have to like micromanage your trade all fucking day, like you may have a different issue, right? You should be able to take stuff in resolutions that are intraday and overnight. And overnight shouldn't be any more of a risk to you. If you know the asset and you're in something 24 hours like ETH, then it's a matter of like dealing with structures that are fractally similar to what you deal with in intraday, right? If you have the right resolutions and the structures you're taking are scaled up for those resolutions, you're going to be able to sleep overnight and deal with price structures that go across days. If it's stocks where you have lots of gaps, on like low resolutions, and you need to go to a resolution where you can account for the gaps within price structure, so that you don't worry about like overnight, rapid moves taking you out if it's something anomalous. You should, account for like, the history of the price and see what you normally experience if you go overnight and see what resolutions make sense. Some stocks are too low liquidity and gap all over the fucking place. Even if you trade them on like 10 and 30 minutes, they look ridiculous and they need even higher resolutions to survive. Liquid shitcoins too, the same case. So, make sure you kind of look at the history of what you're dealing with so you adjust accordingly on whatever resolution you take. You're really dealing with price structures that are the same in any time frame, so it shouldn't be different for you to take it in different reses. Your plan should be fundamentally the same in every resolution. Everybody get that? 118 trickling higher. My God, gotta drag people kicking and screaming for the intel. Putin is expected to speak to Parliament on September 30th. That should be interesting to see what he says at this point, since he's, already put all his cards on the table, threatening nuclear weapons and started a draft. I'm not sure what else he can really say at this point, That's what it looks like when I hit a bull. So smart move there. AirZ said he held his trading account in USDs instead of GBPs. This is a very simple hedge that most people don't think of. While you're sitting in a country that has a currency exposure like that, you could actually do something like that and hedge out your entire trading portfolio, like from the very get-go, in just a different currency. So if you have that option, you may want to look into that. If you could have easily kind of like made that simple movement to at least save some purchasing power. With the pound at that bottom, we're going to want to like gauge it now, bouncing from there to be a 2B or possible continuation structure, much in the same way we gauge the DXY. We looked at him against 20-year highs, and we could make a plan against a 20-year high if he's going to rotate out or if he's going to like possibly 2B it. And that's what you're looking at right now. If the DXY is going to continue this kind of crazy pump and keep being a headwind to risk assets, while the Fed is still telling you they're likely going to do another 75 basis points. So the Fed's fundamentals are still in the same place to fuck everybody some more. And the Fed is telling you right now that you want to see housing come down to be quote unquote more affordable. Affordability can be adjusted one of two ways. Either asset prices can crash or incomes can rise. And the U.S. seems to be very difficult in the last like 15 years for the bulk of the workforce's incomes to rise, while asset prices and the cost of every major expense that you need goes through the fucking ceiling. So it seems to be a mission is to keep the poor and manage asset prices rather than actually allow the base to have anything. So paying attention to the Fed, like Jay Powell is 100% like you're the enemy of markets right now and the enemy of the average citizen. So you should definitely take everything that's coming out of those guys seriously. So let's see what else we got in here. All right. I think that's it. You guys notice we got this show off at a decent time. It's 8:06, so we'll be able to get your symbols in and get you guys out of here at 9 o'clock instead of fucking the 9:20 slot. So we're going to endeavor to get this thing off the ground, artwork done, all that shit on time, so you guys have that 30-minute cooldown I think everybody needs to get your mind right. All right, so that being said, how'd you guys and Acolytes dig your concept call yesterday, and how's the recovery, on a night's sleep? You guys back to normal, seeing things a little differently, charts making all kinds of sense? Throw me some comments in the chat. Let me know how you guys are handling it. So now you have all the content you ever reviewed probably requires a rewatch now, and then with the unfolding amounts of content, you have your work cut out for you, right? Everything makes more sense now. That's all we can hope for. All right, so let me get to guess we do some macro things here, right? So let's take a look. We'll take a look at some currencies when we get there, but we'll start off with a SPY like we usually do. So one thing we talk about before, maybe it was on this res, is paying attention to these big old gaps, right? As good levels of interaction. And then you saw it here, right? This level versus this level versus this level to this level, right? All created like meaningful interactions, right? You got here, and you have this interaction here, and you range between, you know, the two gap levels, and you interact here and back here, and you gap down, and you basically trade inside this range, and you know, high velocity breaks on these levels, and literally gapping to the next gap level down here, right? So pretty good place to watch. DXY, like I said, you're kind of watching him now, and the parabolic, you know, climax he did. You don't want to call it Thompson in, but you at least have an interesting level to watch with GBP that might be a proxy for a stall in DXY's continued motion. So that with this, you're kind of watching right now. We're down here. This is June 17th, and you probably want to put an alert on where getting to this. So let's make this something else. Yeah, that's good enough. So that's the summer low, right? And we'll notate that. Bottom, good deal, right? That's the summer low, and sustaining under that would allow for the continuation of the drop we're having right here, right? So your summer low is here, and you haven't made a new low yet. If you were to not do that, right, you could actually technically be possibly in a bull flag. But if you continue through this and this extension, you know, the trend continues, you definitely want to be aware of this, right? This is big danger. So the DXY with that, you know, has been on this crazy arc, which has been fucking really putting a pressure on risk assets, you know, more recently than just, you know, the whole time it's been pumping. It's been pumping since early last year when we first pointed out the situation with this guy down at the bottom, and we're like, this guy could totally rotate up from here, right? This is when we first told you to watch the dollar. He had the ability to fucking go across the entire 7-year range, and this was back in May, and he definitely did, right? He went up through it, and we began tracking that guy in flags and putting him here. But the real pressure on U.S. equities came when the Fed began reducing its balance sheet, and this fucking really caught some gas, you know, and started to bring the stock market down. So it was pumping well before. It rotated from early 2021, but the pressure on the stock market didn't really hit until November when the Fed cranked it. So we want to keep eyes on this because a little breather in this, and this little maybe being a blow off the stall, you know, if it could be something like this kind of blow off you see here, and give you a chance to like just take a break. If we can take a break in this range, right, this break that you see right here, this is April 22nd to about June 22nd. And you did actually have some de-risking happening here, but this can give a pause to the market if we have it from this point. GBP USD, this guy's wick also, like we said, is the wick that's coming off of the low. Where is that? GBP USD. Right, this wick coming off the low right now can put a little bit of a break on where you are in risk assets, and so we want to check where the levels of risk assets are. Crypto, you know, if you actually look where BTC is right now, and we like to mark the highs of like, you know, systems. This is a key swing level to look at. I think we put this in the last show when we looked at it. Actually, I put this into a channel inside of OnlyFans. So when you look at this guy, right, this is your real scenario, right? As we sit here right now, another gas pedal to DXY will blow this guy right through this shit. So there's stuff that looks in, you know, in pretty bad shape as far as like, you know, long biases go. But this also looks super obvious. So the wick that we have on DXY, and this being kind of like a brain dead, you know, a no-brainer short, if this goes right through here, it's stupid obvious. So that increases the chances you could have a bounce that throw people off. You're a little exhausted to the downside, but overall, there's pretty much nothing that says that anything is coming to stop this downward momentum in risk assets from the Fed or anybody else. So we may get a momentary pause if there's a little stall on DXY, and if this rotates up, you know, you have to be mentally flexible to play that if you're playing near enough term to give a shit. SPYs, you know, without anything drawn on it, right? This level is just as critical as what we just saw in BTC, right? So, you know, we're holding on the second high here off of the summer lows. S&P's on the summer lows, and then guys like ETH, right? He's actually resting on top of the floor that we broke through here. This was a ceiling to the summer lows that ultimately turned into like potentially support. So we want to pay attention, like there's at least some good levels in the marketplace where you are right now to kind of gauge, you know, a new plan a little closer up. So like with this ETH, right, this kind of shit, we've been seeing this all day, right? These stupid expanding formations, the Federal Reserve is generating these fucking things, stop run city on both sides of it. But now when you have something like this, you kind of like look at that as its own system, right? And within it, you know, maybe you have a bull flag forming. Right now it's a conical shockwave. But this guy, outside this range, that's once you've got an expanding range like that, this is where you're going to give a shit how he like decides to do whatever he does. If he's going to come out of here and go off a fucking bridge, or if he's going to manage to like rotate up and then go challenge this angle up here or something like that. That's pretty much your position on like everything right now. SPY's right now sitting on the base. It's a pretty clear line in the sand, you know. If he goes underneath the summer low, you know, look out below. That's fucking big danger. But right now we projected this last show. He might have a contact here for his contact, and there's a chance for him to bounce. It's on the first contact that happens this violently. This is when no one's really got the balls to step into it. So we want to pay attention to see if we do get a stall on DXY that will correspond to a bounce that will correspond to BTC. Otherwise, we have three really great levels, lines in the sand to pay attention to for this to all extend. For GBP to go through the floor, DXY to fucking take out the high, S&P to fucking blow this floor out, and for BTC and cryptos to fucking go off a cliff and take out those corresponding levels I showed you. So depending on what Jay Powell says tomorrow, he might be the catalyst for it also, right? So if we have a stay of execution today and then Jay Powell says something retarded tomorrow, you know, that has to be weighed as a possibility. The reality is, too, knowing Jay Powell's coming tomorrow, we've seen that a lot of sessions without a catalyst are choppy as fuck and just outright terrible. One, because risk assets aren't the best of breed to even be in. But the fact that you have Jay Powell, such a market-moving catalyst now, and him opening his mouth as much as he is, and the uncertainty around currencies, and the head of the ECB talking, there is also likelihood that the market is turned to a chop fest, and like any kind of real big money that would touch it is going to sit back and wait for this shit. So you know the economic schedule this week does matter. You know, even if it's not FOMC official announcement, we're in a kind of condition, you know, with currencies that everything coming out of them now is a big deal, and then inflation also, what they say about it. So all right, that's a whole bunch of stuff. So currency stuff, right? Looking at this right now, we've got a pretty good markup out of here, and we can kind of look at this like we do with Dick rules, right? This, you know, if you see a fucking extension like that, you wouldn't really want to be rushing to like buy into that. You'd want him to slow down and give you something to plan around. And if he gives it to you, you take it. If he doesn't, wait for him, and then he gives you a new setup, then you can take it, right? This is kind of the situation we have now. This is now your new 20-year high. And so just like this, right, we don't have a structure like this where he's leaning or anything like that. This is just his first pump out. And can he totally structure up here something high and tight and do this again? He totally can do that. But it is the kind of thing when you look at the length of this extension, right? We can kind of cock and balls it. Let's do that better. Let's see what, you know, he rivals. He's about the amplitude of that markup. It's bigger than that one. Small. This guy's about the same thing, about the same amplitude in this range too. So it's not out of the question that he can at least stall and go sideways a little bit. That might be a decent enough duration to give us a break there. And also the headlines on the pound has every single person that didn't care about currencies now looking at currencies. So when everybody comes on an emotional response, right? Markets go from high volatility to low volatility back to high volatility. They also go from like, you know, highly emotional to complacent to highly emotional. So what we have now is everybody looking out of what the fuck and having avoided paying attention to the pound melting down for the better part of like a decade and a half. And now they give a shit. It's a great place to have a chop shop and cut every motherfucker that came late to, you know, to the party into pieces. So memos and things to pay attention for this. So right now we see a little bit of DXY weakness, and we see how far this pulls back, right? At this point, we probably want to track him at this lower res. I know this is crazy, but you probably want to follow him. Like if he goes down and makes a new low, for right now, that's your bull flag, right? This thing goes any fucking higher and goes through here, you give a shit, and you want to know it. So I would put a fucking high across here and be like, you know, what the fuck? If he gets anywhere near this shit again, you want to know about it. So that's what you're watching right now on DXY. And then, like I said, on pound currencies and things like that, if you've got a decent contra bounce and risk assets bounce, the play on the low res is going to be to play currencies, the other way against the dollar if he has a blow off and rotates here. But never forget what your macro is. These guys are fucking getting wrecked. And so if you follow this too, we've also had his flags on here pretty good on the way down and how he would treat parity. So, it is a long running trend. You don't want to call the end of it, but on this extension, at least maybe worthy of a breather for a day or two, or until ECB and FOMC decide to annihilate everybody. So that's currencies. It's DXY. I did crypto. VIX we didn't talk about. So the VIX, right? We talked about the potential seasonal rotation that could come in July and August. It came a little bit later. It started in August, and we see him blow out Goku's level, right? Key level, and we told you to pay attention to him under here under this ridiculous amount of like 1, 2, 3, whatever the fuck amount of these it was. And we got our blowout here after the DXY went crazy. And so now we're sitting at 32 VIX. That's fucking high. If you look at like this area, there's nothing good happening in risk assets north of 30. Nothing good's happening generally north of 21, but 30 is definitely dangerous zone shit, right? Going through here equals fucking like Armageddon level crisis that have happened to the marketplace. So we've had this level here kind of cap off what was going on. We told you about that fractal that we're looking at from 2007 and 8. If that plays out, the VIX likely blows this entire range out in a major de-risking leg that goes into the fourth quarter. So this is what we've got right now, and we do have at least resistance in this to say this is an area. It would be better if he was right at this level. I'd be more willing to call, a definite halt on the decline if we at least interacted here. But we do want to pay attention to this. It's parabolic out. He may stall in shockwave, but for right now, right, there's nothing to tell us that this guy is coming down, in the nearest of futures. So we keep following this track record right now, this channel. And now it's always right. You get out here and you stall and you get a breather in risk assets, and you get out here, and if you stall and he decides to track sideways a little bit, we'll get a bit of a breather. So that's what we're saying is possible. Can he keep going up like this to this level before he does it? Totally. But just kind of giving you like your boundaries to pay attention to for the day, what you give a shit about. So that's him. I think we covered everything. 8:47. I think we're on good time. Everybody get all that? All that makes sense now, what we're all paying attention to, right? The market's kind of going to sync up a lot. Once you're above 30, right, what assets to play on the downside and even upside. If the market squeezes when you're at 30 VIX, most of your big caps are all going to correlate like a motherfucker with the marketplace. And same thing, if we sell off any more and VIX goes any higher, everything's going to sell across the board together. So you don't really got to be a stock picker in this environment. If anything, indexes are your safer guy because they're at least liquid. Crypto and stuff like that, like, a lot of folks still, are dicking around in like 100x, exchanges trade crypto and perpetual futures. Understand that like the retail trader is literally under attack, and they are missing, players in the game right now. You make money off of mostly other retail losing. Very infrequently you're going to get institutions on the wrong side of you. And as they're killing retail, they are de-risking the market, or quote unquote de-leveraging the market. So trading highly leveraged, thin perpetual futures against next to nobody is going to be your fucking funeral. You got to think smart. There is less of the people we make money off of in the entire marketplace, as they're attempting to shove us back into the labor pool to force us to get a job. There is less people in the market for us to play against that are like us. So you have to look at bigger resolutions to get the kind of liquidity you need to survive this shit. You're not going to do well in low resolutions, high leverage in a market that's pretty much getting empty as fuck. And you guys can tell it. The market, like, you touch it, it comes for your ass. So, we have to be a little bit more intelligent to survive a cycle like this. This cycle wipes people, generationally out of the fucking market when this happens. Mom and pop is the most disillusioned they've been since the housing crisis, and there are people in the housing crisis and the internet bubble that when that cycle hit, that was the end of them, and learning to invest or speculate in markets. People coming out of college into the internet bubble walked into a disaster. And people coming out of college, into the housing bubble, it was generational damage to get job placement. It fucked them for literally the next 10 to 15 years. And what could have happened had they not walked out into that. This environment is the same kind of environment. It can fucking financially cripple you into a place where, if you just had children, you would basically end up in a predicament where you've got to fucking support the house and you can never come back here. So you want to plan. This is a major opportunity. When you see the level of chaos going on globally, 5 years out from this, you're like, man, I wish I was paying attention like Buffett in this kind of situation. These are the situations that at least present opportunity, because there is emotions, chaos, and instability, and all of that means there's opportunity somewhere. But you definitely need capital to get to play it, and we have a central bank on a mission to decapitalize every one of us, so that we have to go stand in line and say, please sir, can I get a job? This is a critical time to navigate at a high level, which is one reason I integrated everything, so I could kind of give you guys the education required to pay attention to all the stuff we do in the macro and actually have a chance at this shit. It's not an easy period we're in, and I've seen like I said, since 2000, I'd say 2 of these periods. I wouldn't say there's 3. COVID was, a shorter lasting version of it, that liquidity situation. But the internet bubble bottom, the way that thing went, I mean, it just emptied the fucking market of retail. And retail doesn't come back until there's some amount of boom in the economy, so we have disposable cash to come in and speculate, right? It doesn't just shut off and go back to super liquid. This is sustained condition that's fucking killing everybody across enough time to just literally make them leave. So, when that happened, the bottom of housing, trading was still like a hit or miss, like very illiquid market condition. Off the bottom, 2009 to 11, it sucked ass. You really didn't see liquidity come back in until like 12 and on. So it can be a sustained condition, and you need to be in the best asset and have the ability to play high resolutions to kind of deal with this low liquidity situation. So yeah, that's my 2 cents, bitches. See? I had to have a bunch of memos since a show called My 2 Cents. Anyways, all right, so we all got that. That's all wordy and boring. Usually that's the part where all my viewers leave. I just start talking too much. So right now, that's about it. It's 8:53. I can get your symbols in. Nobody's rushing. Real quick, I'm going to take one more look at this before we go away. Let's see. Right there. So just going to the morning, looking at it, there's gas on the downside for the DXY. As far as this is willing to go, if it goes too far, he's going to make a really beautiful bull flag on low resolutions and be in a great spot in the session to go right back up our asses. So, for now, he looks like a little low resistance crash cycle. If he keeps coming back, that is a good thing. And then he takes some life out of the VIX. See some of that happening. So this is how we're heading into the open, right? So you guys are looking at your open with a SPY sitting in a critical spot. If he brings this back up, and gaps, always pay attention to gaps. If he clears this motherfucker, we might get a crazy squeeze. That's probably the easiest and safest place to look. But don't be a bottom fishing lunatic. At least let him clear some major levels. The gap is probably your safest. If he flags back down and goes up to the lows of this shit, don't bet against this stuff, right? Right now, what's going on in Europe is probably a lot more serious than anybody outside Europe is really valuing. And so there is definitely major capital flowing, out of the European assets. So there is somebody exiting the market, and it's somebody big. So if this goes and breaks lows, don't bet against it, right? There's huge spikes in volume as you break lows, because there's definitely institutions getting knocked the fuck out of here. So if we go to the floor of this, trend's your friend, don't bet against it. All right, that's the last of that. What's your symbols? What you got? Buenos dias. Missed the whole fucking show. No, I'm kidding. Just rewatch. Let's see. RVI. The RVI is the Russian version of the VIX. Damn. Telling you, I feel be watching the show, made some alpha on that, but I told you, that thing's going crazy right now. The fucking GBP's catching fire. And I'm stuck in this show, and I fucking knew it. This is an easy play on the bounce back, but yeah, the fucking dollar's going crazy. What a move right off the trenches. 03 back up fucking 6 cents. RVI. Russian VIX. Okay. Where's the rest of this motherfucker? Fuck. I made this guy somewhere. What? What the fuck? Hang on. Don't do that. There. Is that all I did? Okay, I knew something was deleted. I don't know why that guy's not on my chart anymore. So all right, there he is. There's the Russian VIX. So we watched this dude here. I posted that guy, scenario for this. Who was likely a triple top in it. So the VIXs around the world, in risk assets are generally correlated because the populations of people are tied to their versions of RSMPs share similar behaviors. So he's popping really with the summer seasonality that we're seeing in our VIX, right? That rotation is really happening in a lot of places. So our market turned up about August 16th. We started to have that, and then you can see here Russia actually joined the same thing. So that's kind of what you're watching, and this is really just you're better off tracking just the U.S. as a barometer of like what's happening to everybody else. But this is just the same thing. You're just seeing a correlation to our VIX. So if we top out, I guess one thing you can look at here is like a level to have him possibly stall is also right here. He's already had a spike to it. So, multiple VIXs in key locations might be worth noting. The VIX stalls in the range we just showed and DXY and all that, like they could be a more meaningful risk asset bounce here. We go through this and the VIX keeps pushing, right? It all, the de-risking continues. Next thing. MRK, J&J. MRK. I'm pretty sure I have this somewhere. Oh, what the fuck? I don't even need this chart. Oop. Okay, I got this guy somewhere. All right, there was Merck. So we've already talked about this when we were talking about Pfizer and COVID and monkeypox and all that. I think we did like a segment where we talked about a lot of different pharmaceutical stuff. This guy looked like he was projected from a while ago because I know we covered him with Pfizer and all that, and some of these guys you talked about paying attention to. This rotation never happened, but this trigger is still valid, and so is this high as a major level to a system worth paying attention to. So Merck, and the backdrop of this is he popped through the trigger, and we look for him to have some strength to then create a bull flag across the trigger. He didn't really have this upward strength unless you consider this to be what do we want to use? This to be this, then he's doing the bull flag that we suggested right here. Right? So that bull flag is this bull flag. And so we're looking for a rotation back through the trigger, just like the USD, right? That's a mess. So let's go ahead and just get this shit off of here. This path, well, this white path is still overall what I was guessing, but I'll take that off. Let's take this off. This off, and we'll make you something not retarded. Fuck it, let's get rid of this thing. I don't need that thing. So you're watching for something to allow him to rotate to go back through here. Oh, I remember this is a bad idea. I hate this thing so much. Jesus fucking Christ, bro. Just fucking kill me. Oh my God, so much extra work for nothing. All right, yeah, that. Merck. Wait, you said J&J. Got that, J&J. The other pharmaceutical guy. So his shape, there he goes. He's got Merck shape too. And we look at like an old system he had. This is like, a very long, extended shockwave. He fake braked it into COVID. And then he 2B'd that and then finally got out. So I like that as the level you pay attention to. And you can see it got tested and it interacted really good. So with Merck doing what he's doing and this guy doing what he's doing, they both have the same bull flag right here. So it's likely a rotation that you can pay attention to across both assets to kind of give away when they're really going to go, since they've got a good correlation like that. And with this dude, what did he do? He's just been not the best of breed in this space, but he attempted to break this high and collapse through it. So, how we looked at DXY again, right? Let's look at that again. So you see how you look at this? This is like the old system high. Flag went down through it, rotated up above that system, and then had to blow out his current system. That's the same thing you want to see with was it J&J? So back up in time a little bit, right? So he's got this system. He needs to get the fuck back over here and stabilize his ass somewhere fucking up here. Fuck it. And that was too much blue. Whatever. You get the idea. And then get his ass the fuck out of his system, right? So we'll make that just green for whatever's sake. If you can ever become best of breed and get a decent, gas pedal move on him, he should go through there and actually sustain a breakout. But he's been pretty janky. Like the way he goes up, he's just been fucking a shit show the whole way. So, probably also worth paying attention to his trend structure. When you look at this, put in right here. Rotation through that too. That's a good ejection on the trend structure. If he comes back across here, this might make for a good spot. So, I don't know. See what he does. And then next. Where are we at? I lost track of it. AUD. I didn't do currency. I thought I did currency. All right. Atom, XRP, and CloneX. All right. AUD, USD, AUD, USD. So currency things. Dollar is really fucking strong, so he's blowing everybody out, right? And you look at something like this and see how far he is from the COVID low, and you look at something like GBP and see how far he is through the COVID low, right? You kind of get an idea of who the weakest guy is out there, right? The European assets are just getting blown away. So when you look at things like Euro AUD, you want to keep perspective, because you can be like, AUD, and see the person who wrote, I think it was Abracadabra, just wrote, can we look at AUD USD, right? Right, and so when you look at this in a vacuum, you might be like, okay, I want to play AUD USD, but this lacks the same perspective as saying like, I just want to play Nvidia. Fuck all of the semiconductors, right? AUD is one of our majors in a basket of world currencies, and against the USD, you would still want to look for best of breed, even if it's AUD you want to play. There are things that AUD is doing much better against than others, right? So AUD not being the weakest asset against the US dollar, he's not really your greatest guy to go for if you're going to keep playing against a dollar. You'd want to go against somebody who's getting smoked. He would be the leader in the down wave, like this guy. If you look at something like GBP AUD, you can see really quickly that AUD is strong on the GBP, which makes him have a headwind to being something you'd want to play against the USD. He's not your best of breed in that world. In that world, like right now, the pound is fucking the garbage. He's in a recoil right now, and the market's had a huge climax. You're gonna want this to sort itself out, and in that, you could you maybe find some things to play in AUD. But AUD on the downside of this is what most people are looking at in this, with the USD going crazy. It's a basket-wide move. DXY is fucking everybody up, but some people are getting killed much worse than others, right? Some guys just look like fucking death. So you don't want to look at AUD in a vacuum like that. So that context added, what does the structure look like? It looks like a downtrend that fits with DXY, and he has, the likelihood he can keep on going. Do we have like a bull flag structure here if DXY chills out? Yeah, fucking totally. And you definitely want to pay attention to that. If he was able to rotate during these triggers, we'd totally give a shit if he did that. But for right now, with the macro DXY doing what it's doing, this guy's now heading into the range of his COVID climax. He has further downside risk if the DXY remains strong, but I don't believe he's your best short target, all things being equal. NZD is even weaker, right? AUD is even stronger than fucking NZD. So that makes fucking NZD, that chart looks like we need NZD, USD. The guy who's getting fucking smashed even harder, right? But he's also down towards COVID lows, and a place that should probably be an inflection point when both of them are in this area. That last chart you just looked at, AUD and NZD, if this stalled, it would make AUD at least a relatively weak guy in terms of NZD. But this also shows signs, from us looking at last show, of AUD having a major risk-on kind of wave. So this is probably something worth paying attention to with AUD in other places if this happens. AUD, things like JPY, can go fucking apeshit crazy out of these ranges too. And we've already seen the JPY get slaughtered against the USD. It's not far-fetched to think that some of these other guys that aren't as weak as like the Euro currencies could blow him out of the water too if they get free of these big-ass ranges that have lasted for fucking forever, right? This is a 1997. This is a 25-year fucking range. If he gets out of this, it could be be some gangster shit that comes next. CAD, JPY, right? JPY is just getting slaughtered, so it's worth paying attention to where he's at. So hopefully that's a better perspective on AUD. 906. Oh, can't run this fucking through the fucking roof. So we talked about this guy a few times. And somebody said Clonex. What did you say? Clonex what? Clonex USD. Okay, this is ETH. So Clonex USD. So pretty much this is your June lows on the 13th, 15th, or 14th, and then you're right here. You really haven't done shit, right? You're just kind of stabilized sideways while your ETH price is kind of also holding ground. So you kind of want to look at both of these in tandem. So let's just do this. This shock wave in January is kind of where your entire pump wave came from to put in the high, and that's the thing he's testing now, right? So he's within the range of this, and we talked about this before. If he could, damn, what the hell just happened to this line? If he rotates this, right, that would be your cue to watch him, and then you'd want to pay attention to where this guy's exactly. Needs to be about like 7.5 or so. And where the hell is it? Where's the fucking colors? All right. All right, so this is the range. If he gets underneath this, that'd be big danger. Right, that's no bueno. And that's ETH price, like I said, if he begins to bounce and there's the dollar has any level of weakness to him right now, you should see Clonex bounce in terms of dollars, right? So the dollar really is killing everybody, just like that blog post showed you, even these guys. So low price stability in the ETH markets and low weakness in the dollar markets, and this guy rotates and gets back out of here, and you could actually see that dollar price move out of this really narrow range it's in. So the dollar price for him So you had this kind of range set in the beginning of the year with the ETH pump. And that's our problem right there for the dollar market, right? The dollar is underneath that same structure. As good as ETH price looks, right, we'd need to see this guy come out of here, and then we have this problem. Sorry. So you're watching right now this, right? As the downtrend goes underneath this range, if the dollar price keeps bleeding, he goes through here. He goes through the summer lows, right? This will create an adjustment to this trend, and we'll need to go over here, and this will become just a continuation of what's going on since April. So you're at a pretty key spot right now. I think he has put a new low there. So you're kind of more like this. So he either comes back across this right now or has the ability to continue downside. Oops. Really? Motherfucker. I'll throw these guys into the Trading Lounge's market prep channel when I'm done. I'm gonna start putting a lot more of the charts that are done in the show too directly into the Discord for reference. So this guy's a pretty good one to save and just kind of keep as a point of reference for the USD and the ETH markets on him, and probably a good proxy for the rest of projects that are also highly correlated with this blue chip. All right, 9:10. The whole point was to get out this motherfucker early. I might have to scrub too and actually try to get you guys out. I really do want to honor that and get you guys out of here. I know you guys can get a fucking crypto one in this bitch, and I really could do it fast. So I'm just gonna go and do it, motherfucker. All right, this is gonna take me 3 more seconds. What'd you ask me for, Adam? Atom BTC, XRP BTC. Atom BTC, XRP BTC. Atom BTC I should have right here done already. Which chart is the complete one? Not you. Atom BTC we talked about. It's 2 Bs. This is your main trigger level out of this insane range. And he's bounced up against it again. These are the two structures that fake breaks, never made anything meaningful. We're looking for something like that. So we're still looking for something like that. And we're at an inflection point on Atom to pay attention to him in BTC right now, right? And he's had a crazy run in a few places. So if you've been paying attention to this, we talked about this Atom E structure to pay attention to from last year. He's been taking a sweet ass time. This box range pretty much corresponds to the Atom E, BTC range. If he blows out, he would lead this guy higher to this side, and you really want to keep eyes on this if this happens. You know, Atom's definitely doing some things right now. And then XRP BTC, you guys asked. Pretty sure I have this motherfucker somewhere. The other one I have? Yeah, guess so. All right, so last time we were talking about this motherfucker. What exchange is this? Binance? Okay, cool. Last time we talked about this guy, it was corresponding with some other asset that I don't remember why we wrote this up, but this was a key swing level, he said, for him to hold the base of the potential bull flag, and apparently he's been fucking with it for well over a year now, and he's just rotated through it. So if he could stabilize above this range, the same range we talked about in 2021, that would be key for him to allow him to go up here. You could redraw this bull flag if you wanted now that he's done all this shit, and kind of look at him like this, right? And that'll help you see it a little better. So he's attempting to rotate that up there. You want to see him do some shit like, you know, well, that was horrible. Right, something like that to head towards testing this, and this is really where we think he has the potential for real gas is well up there. So definitely worth noting. This will require BTC.D to keep weakening. So we'd want to see this guy rotate and go through the floor. That would allow Atom BTC to go through the key level we just showed you. So if we get this move down here, this will be key to what you just saw those two needing to do to push higher. All right, you guys all that? That was easy, right? No fucking sweat. That's my 2 cents, bitches. Good luck today. Catch y'all motherfuckers on the flip. Peace out.
Welcome to Winternomics TV. Your stream will begin shortly. Loading in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready, bitches.
Never stop looking at crypto, right? Every one of these risk assets, my bad, I didn't see your question, is in lieu of like your home currency, right? So the fact that DXY is pumping, it just means that DXY US dollar is the strongest asset in the basket of currencies. But currencies as a whole, you know, if they gain strength, regarding if you're in Europe or if you're in England, right, and your home currency is the pound, euro, or the dollar, you're spending that to get stocks, to get, you know, crypto, to get NFTs. So you absolutely want to pay attention when currencies become the main focus, right? Because that sucking sound you're fucking hearing in your pocket is fucking money flying out of every risk asset you're in. So including crypto. The dollar strength is basically, you know, is on the other side of every risk asset on the planet right now, feeling pressure from housing to commodities to stocks to crypto to NFTs. So absolutely, you do not want to disregard it. It is part of the equation of what's happening to total, you know, as a basket. So anyways, that's your fucking memo. Easter eggs, bitches. Marvel movies. Never forget. We might have these. Check out early, bitch. You gonna miss. All right. Good luck today, guys. Peace.
Welcome to Winternomics TV. Your stream will begin shortly.